Let's do this.
Utah at Arizona. Arizona is a 1-point favorite at home against those pesky Utah Utes. Man, it's just hard to get a Ute off of you once it's sank its teeth in. I tell you,
Yeah.
um, Arizona has had a really good year. If anybody, wants, maybe Coach Prime, if you want to know, if you want to see what it looks like to turn a one-win program around, you can look at Arizona at Jed Fish, because
Yeah.
he's done a remarkable job there. This is a feisty team, a well-rounded team. Let me get my notes here because it, I mean, some of this stuff just really does surprise you. This is a passing offense that they've got going here. 437.9 yards per game total. That's good for 31st in the country. 280.2 passing yards per game. That's 25th in the country. And Arizona is completing their passes at 72%, which is fifth in the country for the year. Very, very efficient throwing the ball. Very, very impressive. Now, the rushing attack, 157.7 yards per game. That's good for 68. They allowed 20 sacks on the year. That's not great. They're dropping back a lot, I think, and so your numbers are naturally going to go up, sack numbers anyway. But serviceable and have protected the quarterback decently. Noah Fafita has had a great year for Arizona. 1,735 yards, 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. I think a very, very pleasant surprise there. Jonah Coleman, running back, 744 yards on the year. He's averaging 7.2 yards per carry, though. I say this is a passing offense, but man, he is a highlight in the run game
Mhm.
for Arizona this year. They also have another running back, DJ Williams. He's got less attempts, 78 attempts, but he's 4.4 yards per carry. So also very, very productive running the football. McMillan and Coing, you put them together at wide receiver, and you're talking 1,400 yards between the two of them, 18 touchdowns. So really, that's where the bread gets buttered. I think is completing passes to these two guys, McMillan and Coing, or Cowing, I guess you would probably pronounce it. Very, very, very productive wide receivers. Um, this defense is decent. Okay. But their weakness is against the pass, right? Utah can't pass the ball, man. Not at a high clip, not over and over and over, not consistently. This Utah offense is averaging 355.1 yards per game. That's 92nd in the country. Not great. But we know Utah's really good along the lines of scrimmage. They can neutralize some of this stuff. Not bad at running the ball, 185 yards per game rushing, which is good for 31st. 170 yards passing per game is what Utah is averaging, and that's 101st in the country. So not great, but we've seen Bryson Barnes really develop over the last few weeks. We've seen him really kind of come into his own. There was a 10-minute stretch last week while they were playing Washington where the man could not be stopped. Okay. Um, Jackson and Glover have about 1,000 yards between the two of them at running back. But this Utah team is going to have a really big day from Vele if they're going to win this game. He's only got 2 touchdowns on the year, and he's going to need 2 or 3 of them in this game. I think if Utah is going to exploit this pass defense from Arizona, um, you know, just defensively, 235 yards per game allowed passing for Arizona. I mean, that's where the soft spot is. They're pretty good against the rush, 14 in the country at defending the rush. They've got 26 sacks on the year. That's top 25 in the country. So they get after the quarterback. Now, like I said, Utah's offensive line, I think, will neutralize the sack situation there. But this is kind of Utah's strengths kind of match up with Arizona's strengths here. And with Arizona being at home, man, give me the Jed Fishes in them. I like the Arizona -1 here. What say you on this game? I both teams, I guess, are out of the Pac-12, but Arizona seems like they've trended in the right direction as the years went on, and Utah's kind of collected a few losses, and they're out of the Pac-12 conversation as well. So, what's your thoughts on this one, and who you got? Hey, and before I turn it over to you, Utah and Arizona fans, thank you for watching the video. We do appreciate you. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, come hang out with us. Y'all are true college football fans. You're watching this video, you're a real one, okay? And we want you to come be part of the First and Long college football community. What you got, Mason?
All right, so I'm kind of with you on this game with Arizona at -1, which it's so crazy because at the start of the season, if you told me Arizona's favored in this game, I'd be like, man, what do you mean they're favored? That
No
makes no
kidding.
sense, no sense at all. Is the whole freaking defense for Utah hurt? What's going on here? But no, Arizona's a really good team and they've got a really good quarterback. But for Utah, they've been a team that's heavily relied on their defense all season long. They have been a top 10 defense against the run and somewhere around 50th ranked against the pass, which, sounds kind of bad. 50th, you're like maybe in the top, third against the pass. But how many teams in the country have had to face USC, Washington, and Oregon's passing attacks? So I think that when you factor that in, that's made up a third of their schedule, right? Those sort of passing attacks. I think that's pretty good, considering they faced a Heisman winner and two Heisman contenders for this year. I'm not going to knock, Utah's passing defense too much when nobody in the country can say that they faced those three passing attacks. So I think that what they've done is pretty impressive considering that. The offense has been a little bit of a mess though all season long. Cam Rising never got healthy, so he's out for the season. If you haven't heard, if you haven't been around since like week 5, he's not coming back. So they let Barnes and Johnson battle it out at the start of the season. The pig farmer won that job, but we still see Johnson come in at times to get some things going with his legs mostly. It's just never really felt like they have had a real identity on offense. They put up 55 against Arizona State a couple of weeks ago, and they scored 28 last week against Washington, but really fell apart in that second half. Didn't score a single point. I think they accounted for like 60 yards total. It's just not getting it done. Otherwise, they were in that game. Arizona is coming off of a narrow 3-point win against Colorado. Again, they were favored by 8 in that game, which was actually only their second loss against the spread this season, surprisingly. But they had to come back and outscore the Buffs 10-0 in the fourth quarter to win that game. But Arizona is a surprising 7-3 on the season. A lot of that success has been can be attributed to quarterback Noah Fafita. This dude has been unreal for the Wildcats. If you haven't had a chance to watch him, he didn't get his first start until week 4 against Washington, but since then he is averaging close to 300 yards per game, completing 74% of his passes with a 16-4 touchdown interception ratio. That's called getting it done, folks. That's really impressive to see. Not only does he put up the numbers, but he also plays with a fire that makes him really fun to watch. So I highly advise you stay up late and watch this one if you have a chance. And also if you get the Pac-12 network, which we don't, which I don't at least. So that's unfortunate. But Arizona is an offense that's built to pass the football, right? They don't really run the ball a whole lot, but you mentioned it earlier, Coleman, he's averaging over 7 yards per carry. So they can run the ball, but they don't do it a whole lot, right? That he doesn't get as many attempts as some teams. And why would you, when you have Fafita at quarterback and wide receivers like McMillan and Cowing to throw to, and why would you run the ball that much? Even with Coleman as a strength, so they really play very balanced football, on the offensive side of the ball. And Coleman, he's got almost 300 yards receiving coming out of the backfield. So they're still letting him eat, still getting him the ball. He's a playmaker, right? But they're able to do it in the passing game pretty effectively, without asking him to run 30 times a game, right? And real quick, defensively, the Wildcats, you mentioned it, they've been just fine. They're top 20 against the run, middle of the pack against the pass. They're fine. Nothing, they don't stand out in any particular category. But that leads me to my pick for this game. I think that Arizona is going to be able to exploit Utah's secondary in the air and outgain the Utes. Now, they have to be careful because Utah is very good at creating turnovers, specifically interceptions. But if they protect the ball, I think that they can win this game easily at home. The betting public, for whatever reason, has not caught up to Arizona yet, as they are just a 1-point favorite at home. But give me Arizona to win by 6. I've got Utah at 17 and Arizona at 23. And I'm staying away from the over-under. That's a pretty tight margin, but I would lean towards the under in this game.
Nice. Yeah, I like those plays, and I like Arizona. All right, we got a